On an ordinary autumn afternoon, a quiet neighborhood walk turned into a moment of shocking cruelty. But what this violent thug didn't expect was that justice was just a few feet away and wearing navy blue. It was a golden autumn afternoon on Maple Street, the kind of day where the sun filters through the trees like honey, casting long, warm shadows on the sidewalk. The air carried a crispness that reminded the town that summer had quietly packed its bags and left, and in its place came the amber tones of fall. Helen Matthews, a 60-year-old retired librarian, walked at a gentle pace along the sidewalk. She was a regular face in the neighborhood, often spotted with a canvas bag slung over her shoulder and a book tucked under one arm. On this particular day, she had just picked up a new novel from the corner bookstore and was heading back home, already imagining the cup of chamomile tea she would sip while reading by the window. The neighborhood was familiar, comforting. On one side stood the old bakery with the fading awning where she used to buy pastries for her late husband. On the other side, a sturdy brick firehouse, Engine 14, stood proud with its doors wide open, revealing glimpses of navy blue uniforms, chrome equipment, and men and women who wore their courage with quiet dignity. The firehouse was an anchor in the community. Its firefighters not only saved lives, but also attended block parties, helped seniors carry groceries, and waved at kids riding bicycles. Among them were 4 close-knit colleagues and friends: Michael Chen, a calm and meticulous EMT; James Rodriguez, the brawny and quick-thinking team leader; Sarah Mitchell, the no-nonsense strategist with a fierce heart; and Marcus Thompson, the former high school track star turned rescue specialist. As Helen passed the firehouse, she glanced at the firefighters chatting casually by the curb. She offered a polite nod, which Michael returned with a smile. It was the kind of afternoon where nothing bad should happen. Then it happened. Out of nowhere, the sound of tires skidding against pavement pierced the air. A man on a battered black bicycle barreled down the sidewalk, headed straight for Helen. He was in his mid-30s, wearing a dark hoodie and camouflage pants. His face was partially covered, but the rage in his eyes was unmistakable. Without warning, and for reasons no one would ever understand, he leapt off his bike and delivered a brutal punch to Helen's head. She crumpled like paper, her book flying out of her hand and skidding across the concrete. The attacker screamed something hateful and incoherent, words tied to racism and purity. It was venomous. It was senseless. Michael was the first to react. He dashed toward Helen, his instincts taking over. As he knelt beside her, checking for consciousness and signs of head trauma, she whispered, confused and trembling, "What did I do? Why?" Michael gently held her hand. "You're okay. I've got you. Just stay with me." Sarah, James, and Marcus were already moving. "Sarah, call 911. Marcus, flank right. I'll go straight," James barked. The attacker was already back on his bike, trying to disappear down the street. But this wasn't going to be a clean getaway. He didn't know that these weren't just firefighters. They were trained responders, people used to running into burning buildings and pulling survivors from wreckage. A coward on a bike was no match. Sarah's voice was calm and precise as she relayed the incident to the dispatcher. Her eyes tracked the fleeing man. Meanwhile, James sprinted down the middle of the road, dodging cars and shouting warnings. Marcus, with his athletic prowess, took to the sidewalk, cutting through yards and alleyways to intercept. Michael, still with Helen, reassured her softly. "You're going to be okay. Help is coming." Her breathing was shallow, but her pulse was steady. He gently applied pressure to a bleeding cut on her temple, using gauze from his pocket kit. The chase was fast, focused, relentless. The man turned onto Oak Street, pedaling furiously, panic written all over his face. He knocked over trash cans, narrowly missed a dog walker, and ignored honking cars. But James was gaining. So was Marcus, cutting through a side street. Cornered near a construction site, the attacker ditched his bike and turned to face his pursuers, his fists clenched. "Don't come any closer," he yelled. James slowed his pace, hands raised. "This doesn't have to get worse. Just stop." The man lunged. James dodged the first punch, but the second grazed his jaw. Blood trickled from his lip, but his stance never wavered. Marcus swooped in from behind, grabbing the man's arms and dragging him to the ground in one swift motion. They pinned him, breathing heavily but never letting anger cloud their restraint. "Police are 2 minutes out," Sarah's voice crackled through James's radio. When the police arrived, they took the attacker into custody. Witnesses had filmed parts of the assault and the chase. One video went viral within hours. Back at the scene, Michael sat with Helen as paramedics arrived. She was shaken but stable. She reached up, touching the swelling on her temple. "He said something about purity," she muttered. Michael's face tightened. "Don't worry about him. You're safe now." The media got hold of the story quickly. But beyond the headlines and hashtags, the neighborhood felt something deeper, a reaffirmation of community. Helen's daughter later shared on social media how grateful she was. My mom could have died, but those incredible firefighters, they treated her like family, not just with bravery, but with love. In the days that followed, the firehouse received dozens of letters, flowers, and homemade meals. Local children drew pictures of heroes in Navy uniforms with capes. Helen stopped by, walking slowly but proudly, to thank her rescuers in person. She hugged Michael first, whispering, "You held my hand when I was scared. I'll never forget that." James shrugged off the praise. "We just did what anyone should do." But not everyone would have acted. Not everyone would have cared. Not everyone would have run toward danger. In a world often divided by hate and headlines, 4 firefighters reminded everyone that courage isn't loud. It's quiet, it's steady, and it's driven by love. They didn't wear capes. They didn't need to. Because on that day, justice didn't wait for a courtroom. It came in navy blue uniforms, sprinting down the street, ready to restore what cruelty tried to destroy. Helen would never forget the pain of that moment, but even more, she would never forget the people who lifted her from it, and neither will we. In a world that too often turns a blind eye, it only takes a few brave hearts to remind us what standing up really looks like. Helen was hurt, but she was never alone. And thanks to 4 everyday heroes, hate didn't get the final word. If you believe in standing up against hate and celebrating real heroes, like, share, and subscribe. Because stories like this need to be told and remembered.